Hi, geometry students. We are looking at our last section in chapter 10 today. 10.7, we are looking at writing the equations of circles in the plane. So we start out with a warm-up, and it says the center of a circle lies at the point -2, 4, and the point 1, 0 is on the circle. What is the radius? And the hint says you can use the distance formula or the Pythagorean theorem. So go ahead and pause the video, take a little minute. See if you can figure out the radius of the circle. You can either use the distance formula or the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, welcome back. Let's go ahead and go through the warm-up. So we have that the point -2, 4, and 1, 0. All right, so if I use the distance formula, which is going to be the same as the radius, that's going to be the square root of, and let's see, from -2 to 1 would be a total of 3 units. So I have 3 squared, plus from 0 to 4 is 4 units. So I have the square root of 3 squared plus 4 squared, or the square root of 9 plus 16, which is the square root of 25. And so we get that the radius of the circle is 5. Okay, we're going to be doing problems similar to that today. So let's look at the next slide. We have, this is in your journal on page 310. We have the standard equation of a circle. It says let xy represent any point on a circle with center hk and radius r. The standard equation of a circle is the quantity x minus h squared plus the quantity y minus k squared equals r squared. So again, notice x and y represent some point on the circle. HK is always going to represent the center of the circle, and R stands for radius. Notice when we have this form that it's x minus h and y minus k, so that's going to be important in this section. Also, if our center happened to be at the point 0, 0, you'll notice this would be x minus 0 squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So let's just put a little notation here that if it's a circle centered at the origin, then the equation would look like x squared plus y squared equals r squared. You don't have to put the zeros in if it's a circle centered at the origin. All right, please pause the video for a second. You'll need to add this to your notes in your journal on page 310. There's a notes section. It says to copy the problem and find the solution. So go ahead, copy down example 1, write down the words identify the center and radius of each circle, and go ahead and copy down A, B, and C and see if you can answer them. So go ahead and pause, copy, and see if you can answer. Okay, welcome back. Let's see how you did. So in this first one, we have x minus 5 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 16. So again, remember, standard form looks like x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. All right, so our first one, if our format is x minus h, then our center would have to be five, comma 3. That's our h and k. Our radius is the square root of 16, which is 4. Right. On B, let's see our center this time. And notice it's always the opposite of what's in the parentheses. So our center this time is -2, +1. Our radius would be the square root of 9, which is 3. I can get that to work there. Come on, pen. There we go. And the last one, we have our center this time. Would be -3. And 0, right? Notice there's no y minus k, so it's 0. Oop, oh, no, I'm putting a squared in there. And our radius this time would be the square root of 13. All right, next slide. This time we're given a circle in the plane and we have to figure out the equation. So easiest place to start, first of all, is to identify the center and radius. So in this circle, looks like our center is at 0, 0. To figure out our radius, I need to look at, first of all, what's the scale here? So it looks like these are going by 2s. So if I want to know the radius, if I count here, this is 2, 4, 6, 8. So our radius is 8 units. Since this circle is centered at the origin, we can write the short version of the equation, which would look like x squared plus y squared equals our radius squared, and 8 squared is 64. All right, number 2. First thing we need to do is find out where the center of this circle would be, and it looks like it's right here. So I'm going to darken that up, make that a point if I can. So that's our center. So if I identify the coordinates of the center, that would be the point. Looks like 2, 2. Got to figure out the radius this time. So I need to look at the scale of the graph. This time it looks like we're going by 1s each time. So if I count how many squares from the center it is to get to one side of the circle, it doesn't matter if I go to the right or to the left or up, it should all be the same if I found the center. So it looks like I have 1, 2, 3, 4 units. So our radius is 4. All right, this time I need to use the longer form of the equation of the circle. So I start with x minus 2, because our h is 2 squared, plus y minus 2, because our k is 2, equals r squared, which would be 4 squared is 16. Right. Number 3. This time we're trying to write the equation of a circle that has a center at 0, 0 and a radius of 1/3. Okay, remember 0, 0 is our h and our k. If we're at the origin, we can write the short version. So we have x squared plus y squared equals 1/3 squared. So I need to square 1/3. So to square a fraction, I square both the numerator and the denominator. 1 squared is 1, 3 squared is 9. So our equation is x squared plus y squared equals 1/9. All right, this one, we have the longer version this time. This is our h. This is our k. So our equation is going to look like x, and we do the opposite, so x plus 3 squared, because it's minus h, so if I have minus a minus, it's a plus, plus, same thing on k, y plus 5 squared equals the radius squared, and 8 squared is 64. All right, more extra practice on the next slide. This time it says write the standard equation of the circle. Again, the center is 0, 0, and the point on the circle is 4, -3. So this time, in order to write our equation, we're going to have to figure out the radius. So this is similar to the warm-up. We need to find the radius. We can use the distance formula, or you could graph this point, use the Pythagorean theorem. Oops, go back, get my pen. Okay. So again, I could graph it. 4, -3, 4 units to the right, 3 units down. Right. So this distance from the origin to that point is going to be the radius. So we can use the Pythagorean theorem or the distance formula. So our radius should be equal to the square root of the distance from 0 to 4 is 4 units. So 4 squared, plus the distance from 0 to -3 is 3 units. So we square that. So our radius is the square root of 16 plus 9, or the square root of 25. So our radius is, our radius is 5. Okay, so our center is at 0, 0. So our equation is going to look like x squared plus y squared equals, our radius is 5, 5 squared is 25. Okay, this time our center is 4, 5, and a point on the circle is 0, 8. So this time I could use the Pythagorean theorem again, or I can try putting these into the standard form and figure out my radius that way. So I'm going to use that method. So first I need to notice this is my center. So this is H, this is K, just like in the last one, 0, 0 is my center. And this here, 0, 8, this is a point on the circle. So I'm going to label this X and Y. I'm going to put those into the standard form. Again, remember the standard form is X minus H squared plus Y minus K squared equals R squared. All right, so we have, and I'm going to fill in the blanks. Our X is 0. So we have 0 minus H, which is 4 squared, plus our Y value, which is 8, minus K, which is 5 squared, equals R squared. All right, so this time I can use this information to figure out what the radius squared is. So 0 minus 4 is -4. -4 squared is 16, plus 8 minus 5 is 3. 3 squared is 9. So 16 plus 9 is equal to my radius squared. So my radius squared is equal to 25. All right, with that, I have enough information to write my equation. Go back here a minute. I wanted to change the color, but now I lost everything we had. Hopefully you wrote it down. I'll just go through it again real quick. Okay. So again, we had, just write it down. We had 0 minus 4 squared plus 8 minus 5 squared equals R squared. So then we had 16 plus 8 minus 5 was 3. 3 squared was 9 equals R squared. So our radius squared is 25. Okay, I'm going to switch colors here. All right, so now I need this information because this is my h and k. And I need this radius squared. And I'm going to use that information to write the equation. So our equation is going to look like x minus 4 squared plus y minus 5 squared is equal to our radius squared, which is 25. Okay, again, we needed the h and k to write the equation. This was h, this was k. And we used this 0.08 to help us figure out our radius, but it doesn't end up in the final equation. Okay, our last, well, almost our last extra practice problems. This is number 7. It says find the center and radius, then graph the circle. So if you notice, it's just the basic form. When we don't see the minus some number, we know it's centered at the origin. So this one we have our center is 0, 0. And our radius is the square root of 225, which is 15. So I'm going to draw on my axes. Looks like I can just go right in the middle on this one. Ooh, nice. Let me try to do that again. Do I get any eraser? No. All right. And then our radius is 15. So I'm going to make each one of these squares 3 units long. If I could write that. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. All right, our radius is 15. So easiest way to do these is just put a point in each direction from your center. And again, our center was at 0, 0. And then you do your very, very best to connect these with a circle. And I'm going to do my best here. It's just a little tricky on this pad. Yeah, I'll try it with my hand. And I'm sure yours will be far more lovely because you're not doing it on a screen like this. Ta-da, that's a thing of beauty. All right, let's look at number 8. This time, we have to identify the center. So it looks like our center is 3, -2. Right, remember it's the opposite of these values in here. Our radius is the square root of 16, which is 4. All right, so I'm going to start. I think I should be able to start over here. Let's see. I draw my axes to the left side here. And hopefully I gave myself enough room here. Right. Our center is at 3, -2, so I'm going to make a point there. And our radius is 4 units. So from here, I'm going to count up 4 units. 1, 2, 3, 4. Make a point. I'm going to go left 4 units from the origin. Down, or not from the origin, from the center. Down 4 units from the center. And to the right 4 units from the center. And then I'm going to do my very, very best again to try to connect those points with a circle. And yours might look a little bit footballish, but hopefully it's better than mine. All right. Let's look at the next slide. Okay, this time it says prove or disprove the statement. The point -4, 4 lies on a circle centered to the origin with radius 6. So there are a couple different ways to do this. Probably the easiest one. So we know we're centered at the origin. So the question is, and let's just put it into the standard form for an equation. So point H4, so we're at the origin. So I know that I'm centered at 0, 0. I know the point 4, this is HK, negative 4, 4. So the question is, I want to know is this point, does this circle have a radius of 6? So is 0 plus 4 squared, right? X minus h squared plus y minus k squared, or y, 0 minus 4 squared. Is that equal to 6 squared? And that's like a big question mark here. We don't know. That's what we're trying to prove or disprove. So again, I used the standard form of an equation of a circle. I used x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. All right, so I plugged in my numbers. So 0 plus 4 is 4. 4 squared is 16. Plus, and 0 minus 4 is negative 4. Negative 4 squared is also 16. So the question is 16 plus 16 equal to 6 squared, which is 36? All right. And I can already see that's not true. 16 plus 16 is 32. 32 is not equal to 36. And so this time we have disproved, right? We said that that is not on the circle with radius 6. All right, our next slide is the assignment. Again, this assignment is on Schoology. You can just do it on Schoology unless you're doing these with paper and pencil, and then you need to do this assignment on paper, take a picture of it, and upload it to Schoology. All right, thanks for joining in.